Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Albany County Commissioners' regular meeting for December 5th, 2023. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and Commissioner Jones.
Present.
Commissioner Rivera.
Here.
And Commissioner Gross are also here. If you'd stand and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance, I'd appreciate it. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, item 3 is a public hearing, and so the first public hearing will be the Union Wireless Tower application, LUCT 01-23. Anybody in the room like to speak on or against the Union Wireless Tower application, LUCT 01-23? How about online? Is on or against the Union Wireless Tower application? Last call in person and online.
All four of those names are from Union Wireless.
Okay. Commissioners, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I'd like to open the Lang variance application, VAR-01-23. Anybody in the room like to speak on or against the Lang variance application, VAR-01-23? Seeing none, how about online? Anybody would like to speak on or against the Lang variance application?
Do you want to say something? This is you.
Good morning. This is Larry Lang. Sorry I can't make it. I just had shoulder surgery, so I can't drive. I appreciate you considering my request. I've been before you last year, if you recall, and I got that project well underway, and it looks nice. The community's happy, and I want to do the same thing with this request. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lang. And last call online or in person for the Lang variance application, VAR-01-23. Commissioners, I entertain a motion to close that hearing.
So move. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign, please. That motion carries. Item 4, comments from the public. If you'd like to make a public comment, just state your name. If you're from Albany County, you don't have to tell me that, but if you're from outside Albany County, please let us know. So I'd open up the public comment for in the room. All right, how about online? Anybody like to make a public comment online? Last call online and in the room. I entertain a motion to close the public comment then.
I move that we close the public comment period. Second.
It's moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. All the same sign. That motion carries. Item 5, disclosures. Commissioner Jones.
I don't believe so.
Commissioner Ibarra.
I have none.
And I have item 13, the approval for funding for the Florida County Commissioners and the downtown clinic is in there. So I'll confuse myself, move myself. 6, considerations of changes on the agenda. Changes to the agenda. Wow, look at us go.
I don't know.
Hey. So item 7, approval of consent agenda. Commissioners, your pleasure.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. That motion carries. That moves us to the item 8, discuss and approve changing the meeting time for the December 19th, 2023 County Commissioners meeting. Jennifer?
This was my request. Because the meeting on the 19th is that week before Christmas and there are lots of holiday things going on that week, I was wondering if the commissioners would consider moving that time to earlier in the day, so if people had things after work, they would be able to attend those.
I absolutely agree with that. I have no issue, and I think we need to move it at 9 to 9:30.
Let me just check. I don't think I have anything, but The minute you say that. Open. Terry would like to do 9:30 in the morning. Would you like to step up? Okay. Will that work with you guys? Would that work with you, Kayla, and everybody?
Thank you. So do we have a motion to change it?
Yep.
Yes. I move that we move the time of the December 19th, 2023 regular county commissioner meeting from 6 o'clock to 9:30. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. So we'll move the December 19th meeting to 9:30 a.m. 9, excuse me. Present for approval approach license for Ruben R.C. and Brenda H. Portugal on County Road 55, Welsh Lane, Laramie, Wyoming, east 1/2 of Section 12, Township 16 North, Range 74 West. Ron, good morning.
Good morning. This is just for an approach license off of Welsh Lane, so they can access their property, and I don't know if they're looking at building, but right now I know that this would make it easier for them to access their property. It's goes across state land, so we did get a variance from the state land because that's true that we're actually accessing off the county road on the state land, so we had to make sure that was their purview or permission too. So, and then through some emails from Mitch, that looks like that's the go. So,
Commissioners, any questions for Ron?
I know that they've been working on this for many years,
Mhm.
so I was thrilled to see this.
Right, yeah. There are no questions. I'd entertain a motion for item 9, please.
I move that we approve item 9 as presented. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion carries. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it. Item 10, present for discussion and approval, contract between Albany County and Tyler Technologies for document alerts for IDOC market in the amount of $5,070. Kayla, please.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I have had a lot of questions in my office about land documents being recorded and transferred illegally. We've had one instance of it in Albany County. And so what this program is it tags on to our IDOC market, which we already have through the county, and it allows taxpayers to sign up in any nomenclature that their name, Jones, Terry, and then, Jones, Brad, and you can do however, your name is maybe listed on any land document, maybe if it's in a trust, but is what this will do is anytime a document gets recorded in our office that has that name being used, you as the constituent would get an email, which you sign up for, stating that there was some kind of document being recorded in our office, whether that was you doing it or someone else doing it, but it would allow you to have notification when that happens. I know that in some states, such as Arizona, they put legislation through that it is required that they have document alerts for their constituents. This is something that I would like to have paid for by the county. Tracy and I have money left over in the ERP, so it can be paid for through there. And then the yearly fee is only $720, and that would just go on to our Tyler licensing and support, but I don't think there should be a cost to the constituent. I think that the county, I feel like this is a good use of taxpayer dollars. This protects our constituents in our community. Some people's property is their biggest investment, and I think we should be able to help them protect that. So is what they would have to do once this is done. It is all on the onus of the taxpayer to go in and sign up for this. So they would have to go in through the system. They sign up with an email address. I have talked to, Chelsea's not here, I talked to Chelsea about putting a little notice in the assessment notices that go out in April to all property owners, showing them how to, the website and everywhere where they can go and sign up for it. So this is basically the contract with Tyler to be able to get this moving. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them for you.
Yeah, Kayla, so this would serve all 3 departments, yours, Tracy, and Chelsea's?
So it would just, because the land office is the first point at which a land document is transferred. So it's recorded there first, and then it goes, the SOC obviously goes to the treasurer or to the assessor's office for them to change any kind of any show in ownership change. So it starts in our office basically, and that's where it stays. So any kind of land transaction that has your name, if you sign up, you will get an alert stating that something has been recorded with your name. Now, if you're John Smith, you may get notification more often because, you know, it might not be you, but that's why I think it's important when you sign up that you make sure you sign up in any way that your name could be used. Like I said, if you own your property in a trust, you would want to put that trust name in there. If you like my husband is Matt, he would want to do Matt White plus Matthew. So then to make sure that it would catch any way that your name could be used on a land document. So, okay, yeah.
Kayla, thank you for doing this. And I know that we're lucky we've only had one incident in Albany County. And other states, it's huge.
Huge.
And okay, there's a little inconvenience if you get the name, if the name gets confused, but that is nothing compared to trying to repair
Agreed.
a theft.
Yeah, I've had a lot of questions. I don't know how many people have asked if we have this in our county. And granted, there's only one other county right now. Converse County is the only county in the state of Wyoming that has this. Sheridan County is going, they have it, they don't have it up on their site yet, but they're the only ones. So we'll be the second county to have this. I don't know that legislation would be put through in Wyoming to make it mandatory for us to do it, but at least puts us ahead of the curve. I know, like I said, Arizona, I talked to Vicki Haley and they have property down in Arizona and they're required. Arizona passed legislation this last year that they're required to have document alerts for their constituents. I think because it's happening more and more. I mean, it really puts the onus back on the property owner, because as a property owner, you have to sign up for it. I can't sign you up for it, but putting it in the assessment notices, it reaches every single property owner, whether you live here or you are somebody that snowbirds and you don't live here all the time. It reaches everybody because it goes to your address where you get your assessment notices. So it really does put the onus back on the property owner, but I think that people would take the initiative to do that.
I think
so.
Just about everybody will.
And Kayla, when do you propose this all to be set up?
So I'm not sure what the time frame looks like. I just talked to Tyler the other day to let him know that this was on the agenda, and then they would get us on the docket. So I'll have a better idea once this is signed and I send it off to them, and I can let you know what the time frame. I'm hoping that it'll be all in place before the assessment notices, but we could always put a date on there too. But I think, when I talked to Chelsea, I thought, this would be the best way to get this out to everybody. She already has to send the notices out, so we might as well just put something in there for everybody. So
On bright pink paper.
Yeah, it'll be in a different color paper. Yep, exactly. It'll be on a third sheet paper and it'll have all the information on it. So
Kayla, so somebody with a similar, Matt Smith,
yeah.
right? So everybody who's named Matt Smith will get it, or is it everybody's Matt Smith with a certain telephone number?
No, I think it'll be if your name is Matt Smith and there's a Matt Smith that signed up, every Matt Smith that signed up in the system would go to that email. And then what you would have to do is go in and make sure that was that your document? Was it not your document? Yeah.
Okay. And Vicki and I are very good friends.
Mhm.
And that happened to them in
Yeah.
Arizona.
It did.
And at first you go, but then it's real easy to make the corrections. And like I said, the correction is nothing compared to trying to correct somebody stealing your property.
And I think is what Vicki had. So it's Victoria Haley. And I think the person that it was Haley Victoria is what the name was, but she got notification. She looked it up. It wasn't her. And then you just don't worry about it. It's just kind of.
Well, actually, I think Vicki went down.
Or something. Yeah. But it was,
the way
she got
Vicki
some
went.
kind of notification.
Yeah, but it was weird because it was the same names, but in a different order.
Yep.
But that's okay. It's kind of like when the credit card people call and say, your card is on hold because there are these charges in Connecticut.
Yeah, or something.
Did you do them? Well, it's inconvenient to have your card put on hold, but not near the inconvenience of trying to correct somebody disputes. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's excellent. I'm so happy.
yes, I am too.
Kayla, thanks for bringing this. I'd entertain a motion if there are no more questions for item 10, please.
I move that we approve item 10 as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes.
Thank you very
Kayla.
much.
11, present for consideration the Union Wireless Tower application LUCT-01-23. Joe, good morning.
Morning, Commissioners. All right, so the applicant is the Union Telephone Company. The request is to approval of a tower permit application for the installation of a 100-foot communication tower. The property is currently zoned all residential and the use to make it. Access is off of Old Rock Quarry Road. There were some reviews received. Luke Hawkins from the Fire District had no concerns. Rob Fisher from Road and Bridge had no concerns. Tracy Fletcher from the Treasurer's Office had no concerns. Holly Dyer of the Laramie Rivers Conservation District had comments regarding the soils and erosion. Her full comments can be seen in the review section. Tyler Sino from the Wyoming Office of State Lands had no concerns. Will Schultz from Game and Fish had comments about birds, lights, and grasses. Full comments can be seen in the review section. And Taylor McCourt from Whiteout had no concerns. The applicable sections of the Albany County zoning resolution are Chapter 5, Section 5, and Chapter 5, Section 9. Findings necessary for approval pursuant to the Albany County zoning resolution, Chapter 5, Section 9E. The Board of County Commissioners must make the following findings. That the proposed tower shall not adversely affect public interest, that the applicant has provided a site plan with all requirements, and the applicant has adequately addressed all possible impacts. And a statement that the applicant agrees to allow Albany County to install a communication antenna on the tower if feasible, and if requested by Albany County, that shall not exempt the county from paying the appropriate fee, and staff has received that. Staff analysis, the request from the applicant to install a 100-foot communication tower on this site will meet all minimum standards of the tower permit regulations. Required documentation was provided. The proposal should have minimal impacts on the surrounding area. Findings of fact, the findings necessary for approval, applicant responses, and staff analysis referenced in this report are adopted as findings reflecting that the applicant has adequately addressed the specified impacts, and the same are incorporated herein. Conclusions of law, the applicant is proceeding in accordance with and is in compliance with the requirements of the Albany County zoning resolution. Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to recommend to the Board of County Commissioners approve the Union Wireless Tower Permit application LUCT-0123, adopting and incorporating staff analysis, findings of fact, and conclusions of law as each are stated in the staff report.
Thank you, Joe. Commissioners, any questions? Joe?
No, I had mine answered before the meeting.
Okay. Well, I'd entertain a motion for item 11 then.
I move that we approve item 11 as presented. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. Thank you, Joe. Item 12, present for consideration the Lang variance request, variance 01-23, requesting a variance from the density standards of small lot residential zoning district for property located at 26 Cedar Avenue, Centennial, Wyoming. David.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, good morning. The location of this application is 26 Cedar Avenue in Centennial. Larry Lang is the applicant. I want to give you some background of this property just to start it off to see why this is necessary. This property, Larry Lang owns one portion of a condominium property. The other property is 28 Cedar Avenue. Back in the late 90s, there's 4 lots that currently exist and they still exist, but these lots were condominiumized. What this means is that that neither the owner of 28 Cedar Avenue or the owner of 26 Cedar Avenue really owned the property. The ownership of the property is actually owned by a homeowners association, which was created by this condominium document. It's the LaRue condominiums. And I believe why this was done, it was so that they could orient their homes on the property just to kind of meet the way the property sits. It's Centennial, it's really hilly and that. So what they did is they took these 4 lots and they made kind of a lot. It's not really a lot, but for the north and a lot for the south. And there were two homes that were existing on those properties. Sometime in the last few years, the southern property, the home that was on it burnt down. Mr. Lang then purchased that property, and now he wants to do something with it. So the problem is that our density requirements for small residential say you can have one dwelling per lot. Well, the lots are actually running like this, and the home goes across, that's on the north part, crosses all of those lots. And so to meet the density requirements, he's asking for a variance from this standard. So that's kind of the background. So the variance requires notice to be published and posted, and that's been done. It requires a number of findings to be addressed. First one, the granting of a variance will not be detrimental to public health, safety, or welfare, or materially injurious to other properties in the vicinity. The applicant did respond to this, saying the granting of the variance to allow for a single family home is consistent with surrounding properties. Staff agreed with that response as well. And just noted there was something on the property. There was a building, a residence on the property, but was lost in the fire. And then the second thing they have to address is the granting of a variance will not constitute a grant of special privilege inconsistent with the limitations on use or other properties in the district. And the applicant said that this approval would not be a special privilege in that other property owners are allowed a dwelling per parcel. There are technically 4 lots that identify two parcels for home sites. And then staff agrees with that. The third thing is the hardship, which is the basis for the variance application, was not self-inflicted by the applicant. So the applicant responsible loss of the existing home on the property due to a fire and the creation of the LaRue condominiums was not something that was in control of the current property owner, which is true. And then the fourth thing is the granting of the variance is justified by one or more of the following reasons. So the reasons are strict interpretation or enforcement of development standards would result in practical difficulty or unnecessary physical hardship inconsistent with the purposes of this resolution. Exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applicable to the site of the variance that do not generally apply to other properties in the same district. And then the last one is strict interpretation or enforcement of the development standards would deprive the applicant of privileges enjoyed by the property owners in the same district, or the variance will bring the applicant into substantial parity with other property owners in the same district. So all of those are basically answered by saying that because of the condominiumization of, I don't know if that's a word or whatever, but of those properties, and then the subsequent fire to the building on the property, has taken the use of the property away from Mr. Lang, and so this is just going to grant him the ability to put a single family home on the property. And so with that, findings of fact, the findings necessary for approval, including the applicant and staff responses and the staff analysis as referenced in this report, are adopted as findings. That the applicant has provided the board with adequate information, that the requested and required findings, documentation, notice, and notations have been satisfied by the applicant, and the same are incorporated herein. Conclusions of law: the applicant is proceeding in accordance with and in compliance with the requirements of the Albany County Zoning Resolution, Chapter 5, Section 14. Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed this, and they did ask about some comments. I did receive some phone calls from neighbors. One of them asked about, they're worried about drifting snow, and the other one worried about setback distances. And we discussed this at the meeting, and Planning and Zoning didn't have any follow-up questions after I discussed that with them. But they've recommended that the board approve the Lang variance request, adopting, incorporating the staff analysis, findings of fact, and conclusions of law as each are stated in the staff report. And I'd be happy to stand for questions. I know that Mr. Lang is on Zoom with us if you have additional questions for him.
Thanks, David. Any questions?
I don't have any questions. David, when was the fire that destroyed that part of the?
I would like to say it was like 2 or 3 years ago, but I don't know the exact date. Mr. Lang might know, but it's been a
And
few
he
years ago.
purchased it after,
Correct. Yes, it was purchased after it, and he cleaned up the property.
so he hasn't owned it for that long,
No.
okay? And what was the issue with drifting? I mean, if it was open before, after the fire,
I think they believe that, yeah, before the fire, there was a home on there, so that would cause drifting.
yeah,
And now they're gonna replace a home on the property. Or that's the proposal, to put a new home on the property, which would cause a little bit of drifting, so yeah.
thank you.
I don't know if you get away from drifting anywhere in Cincinnati. Wyoming.
A 3-strand barbed wire fence causes drifting.
Yes, right. Sure.
David, does this cause any problems? And maybe this is for Jennifer too, since it's condominiumized north to south, but people are building east to west. Does that cause us any grief? Or can we somehow match up to how it's being built, to how it's being platted? Because this is strange.
It is strange, and at this point, we can't. The homeowners within the condominium association would have to agree first to dissolve the condominium association, and then they would have to replat those sections because there are 4 lots and 2 properties top and bottom. So they'd have to replat the entirety of those 4 lots within Centennial. And I think other than now where, because it looks like it runs afoul of the density requirements, even though if you turned the houses, you'd have two houses on 4 lots. So it's not like we're adding 2 houses on 1 lot and really increasing density at all. There's not much we can do. If the homeowners chose to do it in the future, that would come before you guys as an amendment to the plat and all of those things. But it's on that back end, they'd have to work with the condominium association and
Right.
figure out what they want us to do.
And what I would add is that, Mr. Lang would like to go forward with this, and he's the applicant. And I agree, like, I think that would be the best solution, would be the cleanest. But it would take the cooperation of the other property owner, which, I mean, that's out of Mr. Lang's hands. I mean, he's talked to him, but I don't know if that's possible this time, so.
Yeah.
So this has been approached by Mr. Lang with the condominium association.
I don't know if specifically that I know that they've talked about these properties in the past, but I'm not sure if that ever came up.
I would guess this is a very informally run condominium association because it consists of Mr. Lang and the other property owner who owns the existing structure on the other part of the lot. Yeah. Okay.
So Jennifer, you don't feel like the county's in any legal
No.
problem if we approve this? And
It's replacing what was there previously,
okay,
and you're also not running afoul of the density. You're not looking at cramming more density into Centennial spaces. You're maintaining better density than what some of the spaces there have.
super. Thank you. That's
Yep.
all my questions. Any other questions? I'd entertain a motion for 12 then, please.
I move that we approve item 12 as presented, including the conclusions of law and finding of fact. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
All right.
Aye, that motion passes unanimously. Thank you, David. Appreciate it. Item 13, I'll turn that over to you, Sue, and
Oh.
lead the room if you would, please. Thank you.
Item 13 is present for approval, the funding agreement between the Board of Commissioners of the County of Albany, Wyoming, and Park Regional Services, Greater Wyoming Brothers Big Sisters, Climb Wyoming, Common Outdoor Ground, Developmental Preschool, Downtown Clinic, Family Promise, Laramie Connection Center, Laramie Interfaith, Laramie Foster Closet, Laramie Public Arts Coalition, Laramie Soup Kitchen, Pilot Hill Inc., Relatives Theatrics, Robbie's House, and United Way for the fiscal year 2023-2024, community partner 1% funding. Bailey.
Good morning, commissioners. a couple meetings ago, you guys did approve the template for the agreement. This is just the actual agreements coming in. I talked with Kayla, and the way we decided to have this work was we send out the agreements first, get those signatures on it, and as they come in, we'll get it on your agendas. The vouchers are also within the voucher stacks you guys have. So after this meeting, they'll get paid on the next run. So you're gonna probably see a few of these over the next few meetings, but hopefully it'll be done over your next few meetings.
And will that be on the regular agenda or will be?
It'll be regular agenda every time. So there may be one or there may be none. And it just kind of depends when they get us those agreements, but putting a little bit more responsibility on them. We've had contract issues with some other partners in town recently, and we're just trying to be ahead of it and work with it, I guess.
And when we tell them we're not paying them until they turn us in our contracts, we get contracts passed.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And they knew this was how it works.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, any questions for? I'd entertain a motion for this item.
I move that we approve item 13 as presented.
Second, it's been moved and seconded that we approve item 13 as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks, Sue, appreciate it. And Terry, 14, present for approval, amendment 2 to the contract with the Albany County Board of County Commissioners and WWC Engineering for engineering services. Bailey, thank you.
Let's see, so, because I've been wrapped up in policies, procedures in the past few months, I approached Jennifer with the WWC agreement, and I think it needed to be changed. The reason for that is so we can pay, if we do get a grant that we need to use engineering services, we can pay them from the grant. If we don't change the agreement or the contract with them, I can't pay them from the grant, and then it has to all come out of general funds. So we're trying to use as many grant funds as possible. We left everything pretty much the same, and then Jennifer added a section 4.3 that basically just states that if there is a grant funded project, I would be in touch with the engineer in writing, and we would specifically kind of spell out what's being paid from the grant, what's being paid from general funds. But if we don't have this, that means we have to go through everything in my budget, everything in the just general budget. And that's quite a bit of money, and I think we should use as much as we can of the grant. So.
And this is, what you have in front of you is slightly different than the way it's listed on the agenda. Yeah, the agenda says that it's amendment 2. When Bailey and I first talked, we were gonna do it as amendment. As I worked through it, I thought it was clear to amend and restate the agreement as a whole so that we didn't have to flip back and forth between pages. If Bailey's audit came in, we are not asking auditors to go back through 3 different documents to sort things out. So this puts it all into one document and just clarifies that Bailey's grant projects are separate, but also we're not asking neither Bailey nor Jake, we don't have to enter into a new agreement for every grant project. Bailey just has to send an email, let them know they bill under the same agreement. They just have to bill the grant projects separately than the non-grant projects.
Jennifer, whoever makes the motion, can they make the motion with that new wording?
Yes, just from the heading on it
The
would be
heading
great.
on that agreement there, whether you make it, Terry or Sue, if, when you do it, if you can, so that in the record we'll have it correct.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any questions for Bailey or Jennifer? Not an entertained motion for item 14, please.
I move that we approve item 14, amended and restricted contract between the Board of Commissioners, the County of Albany, Wyoming, and WWC Engineering for engineering services. That's what you wanted, right?
Thank you.
Second,
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? That motion carries. Thank you all. Appreciate it. 15, present for concurrence, Albany County Board of Commissioners Resolution 2023-021, City of Laramie, Wyoming, Resolution 2023-89, Resolution appointing 4 members to the Environmental Advisory Committee for the City of Laramie, Wyoming. I sat in, 10 people applied. Unbelievably qualified people, really difficult to narrow it down. And so these people that you have in front of us were the ones that both Councilor Doherty and myself agreed upon. So.
And the people that they appointed, if you want to know, is Ellen Carano, is a city resident, Rhiannon Jacopak, is that?
Jacopak, yeah.
City resident, and then Eric Hayes is the county resident.
Yep, and I think there's also another.
Oh, yeah, Jennifer Coolidge.
Yeah.
Excuse me, yeah, she took the unexpired term.
Yeah, she's a county resident.
County resident as well.
I entertain a motion for 15 if there are no questions.
I move that we approve item 15 as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 16, thank you, Tracy. Present for discussion update on the Albany County Property Tax Refund Program for the tax year 2022.
Good morning, Commissioners. Before you is the update on the Albany County Property Tax Refund Program for the tax year 2022 as stated. I did pass out some statistics because you probably can't write that fast as I wanted to review them and just make it easy for everybody. But we did have a total of 59 applicants. Looks like I missed a 5 on that very first line. Good job. But all 59 were qualified and approved for the program. The total amount that the county has will be authorizing is $40,712.43. The average refund was about $690.04. The smallest one being $122.86, and the largest, the maximum refund was the $934.60, and 29 of those applicants had received that amount. The average property tax of those residents was $1,645.48. And 35 of those applicants also received the state refund. And I also included the numbers for the state refund program that was applicable to the county, Albany County, and also what the totals were on the state program. All the blank spaces, that information wasn't available to fill in. With this program, I believe we talked in the pre-agenda meeting about some changes that Assessor Matthews brought forward that I concur with, is perhaps speaking to our legislature about paying the taxes for these people rather than refunding them, because these are the people that truly can't afford. But there would have to be some stipulations, like they couldn't have more than the 1 year due, things like that. We have to work out all those details and get with our delegation to hopefully bring that forward. Additionally, I want to publicly thank my staff. During the time after this approval, we had 1 month to turn around and get the applications. In the middle of that time, we were working on our tax billing with the tax roll from the assessor's office and getting ready for our annual tax sale and taking applications. My staff of my chief deputy, Sonny, my office manager, Brianna, and my bookkeeper, Holly, they would stop whatever they were doing and actually help these people, walk them through the application and help them, either give them a list of what they needed or go through and make copies of what they had. So they did an amazing job on top of everything else they had to do. And another shout out to Brianna. She is an Excel wizard. She actually created a worksheet that they were put in all the information for each person, and then also on the list, then it went through and with all the information that they provided, basically qualified them right there. And so we didn't have to comb through each application. They were doing it at the time they received them. So she's did an amazing job with that worksheet. So I have just all the thanks to give to them.
Kudos to your staff.
Yes.
Everyone involved in this.
Commissioners, any questions for?
Just thank you. I know what we're all
Yes, I'm hoping that next year, we're gonna start a lot earlier. Hopefully, we won't have any budget crises that we can't fund this program. I don't foresee that. I mean, the way the revenues have been coming in and everybody here is very frugal. I don't foresee a problem with the budget, but I do want to try and get that word out sooner than later.
So I'd like to thank all of you who thought of this and implemented it. We were, I think, one of 4 counties that implemented a county property tax relief. Most of those counties that did that were the most austere budgeted counties of which we find ourselves. And so I really do appreciate it. I think it's the right thing to do. I think you guys executed it well, even with the short time frame. And so really do appreciate it. And thank you for advocating for a change that I think needs to happen too, right?
On a note on those other 3 counties that did implement this program, I'd like to point out we are 68% funded on residential property tax. They are probably about 3% on residential. So if their residentials weren't paid, they wouldn't probably feel it. Their minerals they would feel, and we're just the opposite. If we didn't have our residents, we would be hurting.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Well done.
Thank you.
And Tracy, thank you for this little synopsis. It's great information.
I know sometimes you guys get questions on programs and things that you guys adopt, and I think having those statistics can help you to help our public to get the word out.
I'll be sure to put it in the minutes too, Tracy, all of this.
Yeah.
And thank you all for approving it, because our county residents, they really have resounded that they needed this, and it's been helpful to them. And I can't wait till they get their checks right before Christmas, because we've submitted all the vouchers, and so they should go out on the 10th.
Fantastic.
Maybe this is good news for that new website that's coming up here in January to put a little feedback on the banner that rolls about this program, so not only draw attention to it for the next year, but also say, hey, this is what they did for you, the county people did. So awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
17, present for approval, memorandum of understanding between Albany County Government and Center for Internet Security, Inc., CIS, operating in its capacity as the Multi-State Information Sharing and Analysis Center and the Elections Infrastructure Information Sharing and Analysis Center for Endpoint Security Services. Adam, good morning.
Good morning, and I apologize for that mouthful, but that's how they wanted to classify themselves, and it is the federal side, so it rolls into the same spectrum there. Before you is an MOA relating to essentially endpoint security suite. Going back in history, CIS, which oversees all of the ISACs, specifically the elections infrastructure ISAC, has offered up security endpoint suites as well as monitored security services for elections related infrastructure. And so we had piloted that back with Jackie and Kayla. We had taken a full look at the demo set. It just didn't jive with where we're at, and we didn't have a single pane associated. We'd have to manage both panes. As of recently, with the increase in federal funding towards cyber initiatives, they have approval from the federal side to expand the program to entire county shared networks. And so with our initiatives, looking at essentially county usage and all of the cross-departmental usages out of elections, I scoped this entire project as all endpoints for the county, server and workstations. They approved this. And so this memorandum is to allow for this to move forward, for us to utilize these services, install the endpoint software. And the contract term is of September 2024, or the extension of the funds through the end time that they see fit. But normally when we see a federal funded program, it'll stay that way. 2 to 3 year minimum is normally what we see on that cycle set. To give you a cost analysis as to the savings that this would incur for this mature of an endpoint solution, on the best contract that I can purchase off of today, which would be actually the state of Wyoming contract, it's about a $17,000 yearly cost savings for the organization. So I'm asking that we can move forward and look at leveraging this exceptional opportunity.
Thank you, Adam. Any questions, commissioners?
Can I interject just one thing?
Please.
What Adam didn't tell you is the reason that the county was considered for this is because all of the back end work that Adam does all of the time in both what he does in the county and the outreach he does through the state and the trainings that he approves. So because Adam has done all of this work is how we ended up being able to apply for and then qualify for this, which ends up being a huge savings for the county. So I only learned that when we were talking about it before, and I said, well, how do we do this? And he was like, well, so I'm telling you because
I'll say it was random
Thumbs up to
selection.
you. Well done, Adam.
Thank you, guys.
You're always got the county's interest
Trying.
at heart. So
Yes.
thank you
Well,
for
and I can
that.
echo that too. I know, with being a clerk that has a very good IT, we're always at the top of a lot of conversations about how forward we are in our election security and everything. So that's all kudos to Adam. I mean, it's huge for us, especially with, the big election that's coming up for us to have this is amazing. So I appreciate you doing that, Adam.
Thank you, guys.
It's really helpful.
Appreciate that.
Just a little nerd question for me. Is it just a couple of servers that they'll take over? Are there dedicated servers, just election? I guess maybe you can't tell me.
So it's the full county scope. So it's
Full
actually, it's all county resources. So it is, yes, I scoped the project as all of our endpoints. So that's going to include workstations from every department. Especially if you guys continue forward with what Kayla had spoke about, if the department had an election meeting, I think that well qualifies if we're using county internal resources to leverage more across the election. So they didn't bat an eye, and so I will ride the bus as long as I can.
Yeah.
Thank
24/7,
you.
365. You don't get much better than that. I'd entertain a motion for 17 if there are no other questions.
I move that we approve item 17 as presented. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
Item 18, present for approval agreement between Albany County Government and the Spyglass Group LLC for telecommunications audit.
So a telco audit has been on our radar several months. Spyglass reached out to us with an initiative essentially in the same spectrum. They perform the telco audit on your behalf. You submit the last, 3 to 6 months worth of billing cycle from your phone side to your cell phones to your internet ISP providers. They go through and utilize and talk with they talk the telco language. They do this every day, and they're the ones that go through and re-audit those contracts, find services that maybe weren't canceled. I'll remind us, we saw a $24,000 credit back from CenturyLink when they didn't cancel one of our T1 lines, and that just happened out of the good belief. So there's a lot of technical debt that is associated with those. The contracts haven't been managed, lines haven't been managed for some time. So this is our way to get a sure up, get our feet set within that, and push the best forward, especially as we look towards a SIP migration within the coming year. So get everything plane-based, recoup as many savings as we can. They do take their cost, so we'll submit everything to them. They come back with their findings. It is our distinction to approve or deny any of those findings and what we would like them to take action on. If they come back and here's what they present, we can say we don't want any of it or we want all of it. From there, that's where their piece comes in the cost analysis. So it's a 50% of that cost recovery off of that, essentially that 12-month cycle. And then it's a 12-time, they have a couple different classifications between service elimination and 12-time cost savings. So that's where they make their buck. They're looking out, they're hoping that essentially these haven't been managed, there's gonna be some cost savings. They go and do the upfront work for us, we approve, and from there, that's how they make their money back. From what I understand, their dashboard is very comprehensive and a great management plane. We may consider keeping the dashboard to manage the telco accounts through, I know the city of Cheyenne has used it and gone through this exact audit. They had glowing reviews associated with the product, especially the dashboard, and they actually kept it online after the project just to help manage all of the accounts going forward. It is not easy. I have spreadsheets that are sheets upon sheets long, and trying to get a direct answer out of the telco companies is very difficult and time consuming. I would like to offload this if possible, and free that time up on our end. Reap the benefits, pay a little bit, and then we'll see it going forward.
But it's not paying, in a way, you're not paying that much because
if you don't catch it, you lose it. And
Exactly.
I think that's fantastic.
All we're talking about today is saving money. Isn't it great? I was like, I felt so good coming forward. I know, I was like, I'm like, let's talk about saving money. Let's end the year right there on that tone. Let's see if we can save some money.
And saving time so you can put Christmas lights outside.
Absolutely. Because we love them.
They're
We
Christmas.
know it's a problem and it takes you so much time, but they're fabulous.
And big shout out to the assessor's office and the planning office for coming out. They were big assistants associated with the light show setup. So I want to give kudos there. They made it a lot easier. So
I was very happy to see that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it at night yet, but I was really happy when I walked down there and saw the strings hanging down.
they're there.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
Get it done before the snow flies.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So Adam, with the spyglass, will they make recommendations based on security too? So if people are using their personal cell phones for county business, will they say, hey, that's not best
No,
practices?
that's not worth the scope.
Okay.
No, they're not looking at personal usage. They're looking more at you're carrying this protection cost or you're carrying this international cost and you never use it. We never see a client ever use it. Here's another $7 across 65 lines at a monthly charge that you can recoup. But no, they're not going to be looking at that. If you want some sort of review in that direction, you'd have to look internally first and then source there.
Okay. Just want to make sure I understood what we were talking about.
Yes.
I'd entertain a motion for 18 if there are no other questions.
I move that we approve the agreement between Albany County Government and Spyglass Group LLC for telecommunications audit.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. That motion carries. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Adam.
19, approved vouchers for November 2023. I'd entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the vouchers for November 2023.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. 20, adjourn. Signal